Hi, Clay.
Hey, how are you?
Fine. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Okay, well, we'll take one of those busies off. It's not bad. It's good.
Oh, come on. You're all over the place.
You're starting to get used to it at this point.
Oh, I guess so. You've been doing it for a couple of years now. So.
Yeah.
You're coming to Lehigh Valley August 10th for our Music Fest show.
Again, yeah, second year in a row.
That's right. And we have a lot of people that are very excited about seeing you again.
Well, I'm excited about seeing them.
You have quite a wide-ranging variety of fans.
And that's why we're doing the show as we're doing it this year.
Tell me a little bit about it, because it is a little bit different than the show that you did last year, and I think people should know what's different about it.
Well, we kind of had a number of factors that affected our reasoning behind making the show this way. I mean, we found out earlier on in the year that we had these opportunities to come and do some of these same venues that we did last year. Music Fest, we're doing a few other places in the country, exactly the same places that we had done in the previous summer, and so. It's like, do we really want to go back and do the exact same show again? I mean, that's kind of been there, done that, and so we kind of had to think of another way to entertain without doing the same old. And then and with one album, there's not much you have to pull back from. So I said, well, why don't I go take other people's stuff and do it instead? And then so that's kind of where we got the idea for doing a lot of covers. And then your comment about there's being such a wide range of people who like to come to our stuff that we decided let's just do a review of music from the 50s on through the future in a way. And I say that because we're hoping to put at least one or two songs from the album that we're working on that hopefully will come out within the next year at the end of the show. So we'll start in the 50s, and we'll do some stuff that my grandparents grew up with, and then we'll move on into the 70s and stuff my mom remembers, and on into the 80s and 90s and stuff that
Right.
So, and what's amazing is that the music back there is so great. I mean, they don't write songs like they did back then anymore. And we had a really hard time paring it down to the few that we're going to do. We're actually still in the process of cutting right now. We're in the middle of rehearsals, and we're like, man, this show is 3.5 hours long. So
I'm sure your fans wouldn't mind.
Well, they might not, but I might be asleep by the end of it.
Or exhausted.
We're still having to cut it, but it's because there's so much great stuff that we're just trying to make sure that we're able to hit hit some really good highlights.
How did you pick the songs that you're performing? Are these songs that you had heard and always liked, or suggestions that people made? How did you decide?
We actually went through a book. A friend of mine named Fred Bronson, he writes for Billboard magazine, and he put together a book a few years back. Well, he actually does it. He updates it every so often.
Okay.
A book called Billboard's Hot 100, number one hits. You can find it. It's by Fred Bronson. You can find it on Amazon. But shameless plug for a friend. And we went through his book, and we actually just found number one hits, all of Billboard's number one hits for years. And we just took all of those, and we started with that. And then we said, well, this one's a really big hit. I mean, this one I remember. Everybody can sing along to this one. And we just grabbed songs, and my music director and I sat down, and we really have different tastes when it comes to music now, So it was really interesting to see two people who have such different tastes who could reach back and grab a song from the 50s and hear Mr. Sandman. And I mean, I can say Mr. Sandman, and everybody knows bum 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 bum, that type of thing. So we both knew it, and we were like, oh, that's the song we have to do because everybody's going to know it. So we tried to take Fred's advice in a way with his musical knowledge, and then all of the the stuff that appealed to both Savon and myself because we both knew it. And so we really came together with about a list of 150 songs.
Wow.
That's what we started off with. And we put them in some medleys and try to present them as creatively as possible. And now we're trying to pare it down to at least some number lower than 75.
Wow. That's a lot of singing you're going to be doing then.
It's going to be a very fun, fast-paced, lively show. We're going to be moving it. We're going to try to keep the show moving. You won't get the whole song of many of these, but you'll get the highlights. So people will, the idea is to keep them wanting more, and definitely want more of Mr. Sandman or whatever song, because they'll only get just, they'll get that tease of each song.
The beginning. Just a bum, 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 bum.
Just a bum, 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 and that's it.
That's the Clay Aiken.
One thing you're doing that's really unique is that you're integrating some audience participation into your show. Tell me about that in the text messaging contest.
Well, it's kind of a trial run in a way. We're the first group to try to do this with a group called Boomerang. They do a lot of, it's a company that does some software and whatnot for cell phones and works with that type of technology that I don't know too much about. But I do text message a lot. What the idea is that audience members who bring their cell phones will be able to text messages backstage that we'll get before the show. Hopefully they'll be nice ones.
Yes, I'm sure they will be.
And then at some venues, we're actually going to be able to put screens up, and people will be able to text message things onto the screens during the show, which will be kind of neat.
Your life has been a little bit of a whirlwind over the past couple of years.
Yeah, I think to some extent. I mean, that was probably my biggest question I got for the last I've gotten for the last 2 years, and it's kind of been something that you begin to have a chance to get used to a little bit more. After 3 years, you get a little more comfortable at least.
Yeah,
with what you're doing. So
that's the question you hear a lot. What is the question that no one asks you that you've always wanted to talk about?
I don't really know. I've done enough of these. I think I've been asked everything.
I was trying to think of something like, tell me a Clay Aiken secret.
Oh, are you kidding me? Everything's been talked about at this. I mean, when it comes to things that I like to talk about, I mean, obviously it's, when you come out and you do an interview like this, you want to talk about tour and you want to talk about what's going on and what I want to, what's happening this summer and tell people to come out and buy tickets and whatnot. There are times where I sit down and we do something longer, and I'd love to talk about, stuff that I've done with UNICEF and things that are going on in Uganda and situations like that. But, that's the type of thing that takes so long to talk about that I don't ever have time to do it. So I did a lot of traveling with UNICEF this past year. That's kind of been what my years, the first part of my year has been about. I was in Indonesia with them to look at programs that they do towards the 3-month anniversary of the tsunami, which unfortunately is a story that, kind of has, I mean, without a doubt been buried. We're at 6 months now since that's happened, and people have forgotten to some extent the tragedy. And, I mean, being there can tell you firsthand, it ain't going to be over in 6 months. I mean, this is something that people are going to be dealing with for 6 years at the very least. I mean, the cities that I was in were completely wiped out. I was in Banda Aceh, which was the
main area that was hit.
The kind of the epicenter, and Mulabo, which was the closest to the epicenter. And those areas are going to be feeling this for, years and years to come. And then Uganda, which is really a tragedy that I've been home since May. I was in Uganda in May, and I've been home for this long, and it's still something that's so horrific almost that it's something I'm still trying to wrap my mind around. It's pretty much the world's only child-targeted war, where children are having to flee their homes in the night to stay away from rebels who are attacking them and making them child slaves. See, that's the type of thing that really depresses an interview, isn't it?
Is that the kind of thing that keeps you grounded, though, that keeps you, being realistic and keeps you from rocketing off into the stratosphere with all the exciting things that you have available to you now?
Well, to me, it's just an opportunity to continue to do what I was doing beforehand. I was a teacher before this and had the opportunity to work with kids every day, and that's the type of thing that I really, most days, wish I could go back and do. I have friends who are teachers still, and I get to talk to them about their classrooms, and I get very jealous, and they're complaining about this particular kid who won't listen and doesn't won't pay attention, or, I got too many papers to grade, and I'm like, I'll do it. I mean, it's something that I really kind of like to stay connected to. So it really is more an opportunity to stay connected to what I always thought I wanted to do, or many days still think I want to do.
I was just going to ask you, do you ever think you could return to your previous life and go back to that quote-unquote normal life?
I would love to try. I don't know that I would command a lot of the attention that I'd need to teach reading to anybody at this point. I'd give it a shot someday if they'd let me.
Well, there you go. What are some of the other things on your list for life, Clay, now that you've kind of accomplished a lot of big things? What's left for you? What do you want to do still?
Some people would say this sounds not wise, I guess, but I don't like to make that type of plan. I don't like to make that type of goal. I mean, everything that's happened to me so far has happened because I was open to letting God allow me to go where He wanted me to be, and Him letting provident direction drive and guide me. And I kind of feel like those times where I said, this is what I want to do, this is where I want to be in 5 years, this is what I want to be doing, these are my goals, every time I've done that, I have missed out on another opportunity because I've been too focused on that particular goal. Oh,
interesting. Okay.
So for me, it's kind of like I hate to make plans. I mean, definitely there are some things I'd like to do still, but I don't want to drive myself and be so driven to do that one particular thing that I miss out on another opportunity and that I close my eyes or close my mind to anything. So I set a very general and broad goal to be happy in 10 years, somehow.
Well, good for you. You're living with no regrets.
That's what I'm trying to do, at least.
Well, Clay Aiken, we will see you Wednesday, August 10th at Music Fest.
Yes.
We are looking forward to it.
Me too.
And I'm sure all your fans are screaming, more time with Clay! Come on, ask him 10 more questions, but I can't, sorry.
Well, thank you very much.
Clay Aiken.
Great interview.
Yeah,
Great
he's really impressed me as like a very down-to-earth, very a person that cares a lot about what's going on in the world.
Sure
very
does.
Compassionate.
And I really hope he gets a chance to teach again someday. I think that would be so cool.
It sounds like he almost wishes for the old days, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Little interesting scoop there.